And that was, because it seemed like, the business might just like die at this point. But I was, not going to let that happen. So, made some tough calls, and I think now we're not losing money. We're doing okay.
This is the Art of Lawyering podcast, a show all about making more money, being a badass attorney, and loving your life. The Art of Lawyering is all about becoming the best you possible. Whether you are a law firm owner, an associate attorney, or somewhere in between, this podcast is built to help you get the most out of life.
Hello and welcome to episode number 13 of the Art of Lawyering podcast. As always, I'm your host, Christopher Small, and I'm excited to be here with you this week. This is a pretty good interview that you're going to hear pretty soon here. It is not your typical interview. It's not a lawyer. It is someone that owns a business that joins up lawyers and clients in kind of a new and unique way. But I had the opportunity to not just talk to the marketing director or somebody like that, but I actually had a chance to talk with the CEO. And this guy, he's a young guy. He was recently named to Forbes's top. It's not even top 30 under 30, but it's the rise. It's something on Forbes having to do with the legal industry, sort of like the rising stars. And he was named to that list, which I thought was pretty cool. And we talked about that a little bit, and that's great. I want to, as always, remind you to go and leave a review over on iTunes and subscribe so you don't miss any of these episodes. I'd really appreciate that. If you do that, then you can make yourself eligible for a free book that I'm giving away every week, which reminds me, this week's winner is Sean Bartholic, and congratulations, Sean, you are a winner. The book that we're giving away is is actually the book that a book that I've been reading and going through this last couple weeks. It's called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. It's a pretty cool book. I really enjoyed it, and congratulations again, Sean. One last thing I want to say before we get into this interview, real briefly. If you're not on my newsletter list yet, you've got to get there. Every week, I'm sending out some new stuff. It's stuff that I don't talk about on the podcast. It's stuff that I don't talk about the blog. And even though I'm blogging every day, I still have more cool stuff to share. And I do that on the newsletter. And there's some really interesting things that are going on right now. And there are some really unique things that I think can really help you with your business, with your life. And if you want to get those, get on my newsletter list. You can do that by just going to theartoflawyering.com. There's a little thing right at the top. Just put your email address in there. Boom, you're on. So, wanted to leave those two announcements. We're coming up on March Madness this week, so I'm really excited about that. And let's get to the show. Thanks for listening. See you on the other side. I am pleased to welcome today's guest. He is the founder and CEO of Lawdingo, which you can find at lawdingo.com. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that is as we get going. He is, our guest today is not a lawyer. He is a startup guy. And, so he is a great resource. I'm excited to really talk to him about how he started his company, because I think a lot of those lessons can transfer over. And he's also on the the top 30 under 30 for Forbes's one of Forbes's law and policy list. So we've got a superstar in our midst, or something like that. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Nikhil Nirmel. So welcome first. And I don't know if I butchered your name or not. Hopefully I got it right.
Yeah, close, pretty close. Nikhil Nirmel that's the name.
Okay, fantastic. So
hello, Chris.
Yeah, welcome to the show. I told everybody a little bit about you, but why don't you just kind of fill in the gaps with who you are, where you're from, that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm Nikhil. I started a web company called Let and Go. Started working on it a few years ago in San Francisco, and since moved to New York, so based in New York. And let's see, the quick overview of Let and Go is we get people lawyers. That's it. We do it fast and efficiently and affordably, and thereby we also get lawyers clients, and we do that. We pre-screen the clients and try to make sure it's the right fit for the lawyers we connect them to. As you mentioned, I'm not a lawyer, didn't go to law school myself, but previously I was working at Yelp doing their data analysis, and before that I was at a lead gen company when they were just starting off called Yodel, and now they've gotten quite large. So I've sort of been in the connecting people with local business space for a while, and got surprisingly excited about legal space. Because it just seemed like there wasn't too much going on there with regards to making the process better, and a lot of the work to be done delivered remotely.
Right.
So we can get into more, but that's my quick background. And,
okay, cool. And you went to where are you from originally?
I grew up in the Bay Area and suburbs of Vancouver, Canada.
Okay.
So I'm a dual citizen, and I graduated from Penn's Wharton School undergrad program, and never did any grad school.
Okay. All right. So
And,
tell me a little bit about. So you didn't start this business right out of school or anything. What sort of got you into this space? What made you decide I'm going to leave? Yelp is where you were last. Looks like, right? And dive into this new venture. What was the story behind that?
Yeah, that was a scary process. It's kind of I guess it's somewhat a long story. I guess I had a previous startup that I was working on in college that failed miserably, but it was a good learning experience and kind of made all the mistakes you have to make when you start a company. So I got those out of the way, and then joined a couple of great startups, and it's I really enjoyed working on my own thing. I never did it full time, and I was, I kind of felt like I think I could do it. I don't know. You never really know until you do it. And I had saved up, maybe 3 months of cash, but still had my student debt or whatever, and figured, what am I, 25 or something, and I had this idea that after 30, it's all over.
Oh,
so,
man, well I'm 34, man, so I'm done.
I'm just kidding. Hey, you got your own podcast, man. I don't have my own podcast. So I had this idea for legal advice over video chat, billed by the minute. That was the original idea.
Okay.
And I said, I think people would use that. I need a lawyer. It sucks to hire a lawyer. I don't really know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I've no, lawyers need business because it's hard to get business. It's real competitive, and AdWords is crazy, and you start a new law practice, and it's nuts. So I was I think we could probably do it. So I don't know. It was a tough call. I mean, Yelp was pre-IPO, and I left all my stock uninvested and stuff, and just pieced out on my own without any co-founders or tech or product or much of anything, which most people, including my parents, said it was stupid
Right.
idea. But somehow I scraped by and ran out of money 5 times, I spent a year working by myself, hired some overseas people, and got some people using it, and got some good feedback, and
Yeah. So.
And,
Okay, that's cool. I have a million questions for you because
Yeah.
Like we talked about before, and we just talked very briefly before we came on, but a lot of what this podcast is about is really about how to start and build a successful business. We're just lawyers, so we're in the law firm business. So
Yeah.
although the way that you scale is probably not the same way that we would scale necessarily, I think that you mentioned going through a lot of the same ups and downs as we would starting a law firm, and I'm just curious about some of the things that you did at the very beginning to kind of get traction, to get those users, to get viewers. What kind of things did you do to get people to even know that this new thing was out there?
Yeah. let's see. Well, we started just by like telling some people, telling some friends and whatever, and like getting some people I know to just try it out and like try to talk to a lawyer through this thing, which wasn't very sophisticated. We got some early like search traffic just kind of, I think by chance. For a while we were like the number one result for like talk to a lawyer online or something, which attracted like probably like lower quality clients than we would have hoped, like a lot of like teenagers and stuff. But
sure.
That gave us some stuff, and then I like got connected to like a TechCrunch reporter, and like he wrote a story about it, like maybe a few months after I like put the thing online, and that got it some more press. I guess, but yeah, I mean, it's like you have to figure out any way to get people. I think, there's, when you're starting to pay for acquiring people, you need to make sure your acquisition costs of your customers are lower than what you're making from them. And I think that applies to every business. And if you can find some channel that, reliably delivers business, whether that's paid or not, and it's something that you can scale to do more of, then, you should at least try that, I think.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I think law practices, I talked to a lot of lawyers, and a lot of them starting their practices. And yeah, I mean, it's a business just like any other, so you got to be creative, and, things don't just fall in your lap.
Right. And speaking of creative, you have a video, right?
That's true.
Is that a recent thing? I didn't see it until after I'd already known about you and sort of started Googling you and things like that. But
yeah,
tell us. No, I don't. For those that don't know, tell the story about the video and give us a little bit of background on that, and maybe why you decided to go the direction that you did from it's a funny video,
yeah,
right?
Stylistically, yeah.
Stylistically, exactly. So tell us about it.
Sure. Well, let's see. I mean, the video, which you can find by just Googling Wadingo video. It's like a 1.5-minute thing. So this, what's the story? So the story is like I didn't have any much of a marketing budget. I was trying to figure out like a way to, get people to like know about it. So I don't know, it was just brainstorming stuff, and then somehow the like line, "It's okay, I've got Wadingo," was like Saturday. I think I just like said that one day, and I thought like maybe we could create something funny about that, where like people are in these sort of like absurd situations, and it's like got this weird like dry irony to it or something. And so I was at this. I just sort of been like thinking about that. I was at the short film festival in San Francisco because I like short films and whatever. There's this one video that I really liked that was hilarious, and it had this like really dry sense of humor. And the producer of it was like talking at that. He lived in Rochester or something. Yeah, Rochester, New York. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Hey man, that was great video. Loved it." I was like, "I'm kind of thinking about this commercial." He's like, "Yeah, I'd like love to do a commercial, but I live in Rochester." And so he like gave me his card. We like emailed, and then we were like, "All right, let's just do this." So we like spent like a month or so writing the script together, and then I like flew out to Rochester over a weekend, and we like filmed my bits, and then he like cast his like brother and friend, and we went to like the school library, filmed it, and
nice.
It was real cheap and it was fun to produce, but it took a lot of time.
Yeah, it was a great video, and you got and it has it gotten a. I didn't. So I should do more research before I talk to people, but I didn't go and look and see if it's gotten views. I know. Yeah, I mean it. We got a piece on Above the Law about it, and I don't know, it was like in TechCrunch, like in one of our other things. I didn't like maybe do as good of a job as I could have to like promote it and do whatever you're supposed to do, because I don't really know how to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's got some views. Yeah, I like that.
So, and then even Avo, which is kind of a competitor of ours, kind of copied it recently. They got their own little like thing, and it's in my opinion a ripoff, but that's okay.
Well, what do they say? What do they say that?
Well,
what is the sincerest form of flattery? What do they call the sincerest form of flattery? Copying? It's not copying. Imitation.
Yeah, that's true.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, right?
Yes. So I am overglowing with joy.
I bet you are. I'm sure you're just really, really just excited about them doing that. But at least you know what though? I mean, not to diminish your business, but Avo, speaking as a lawyer, they're a major player, sort of, in at least as far as things that we know. So for you to be on their radar and for them to be doing that, I think shows in a way that they perceive you as a threat. Because they don't.
Yeah,
they're trying to sort of cut your
I think it's kind of
off.
exciting that that people will notice, and then we're not as much as our promotional stuff is kind of jokey. Like we're no joke these days.
Right.
So.
That's great. All right, so tell me, let's talk a little bit about what Law Dingo really is from a lawyer's perspective.
Sure.
First off, tell me, let's just talk about what happens when somebody signs up. Why? Give me your sales pitch. To a lawyer about what it does and why we should want to use it.
Yeah, sure. So, our main market is solo and small practice lawyers, and it's going to be different for each lawyer. How to get value of it, but when you got a law practice, you need to do marketing. You need to figure out which of these clients are going to be serious. You need to get paid, and so basically what we do is we market our own service in a way that's much more effective than any law firm's own marketing can be, because we can sort of just market our service, which is a lot cheaper than marketing on AdWords for personal injury lawyer, Los Angeles, or whatever.
Right.
And we just make it really easy for consumers to get connected to a lawyer. And it used to be too easy, where too many people are getting connected to lawyers. And now we actually have a screening process where we vet the clients and make sure they have categorized their legal need properly and they're able to afford a lawyer or have a contingency case. And then we connect them right away by phone or email with an available lawyer who meets their criteria. And so it certainly rewards lawyers who are accessible and available, and I guess have competitive rates. And,
let's say I'm a potential client, right? And I go into the service. Let's say I have a car accident, right? Just to make it easy. So car accident, just regular injuries, nothing crazy. I go into the service. How do you guys pick who gets sort of called? How do you decide what lawyers get picked sort of for that person, assuming that they're qualified?
Right. So I guess we'll figure out do they need someone to go to court locally? If so, then we'll limit it to their area. Mm-hmm. Do they we'll ask a bunch of questions about their accident, or their medical bills. Do they have insurance? Does the other person have insurance, and so on, just to get as much detail as we can. And then we'll have basically a set of lawyers who meet the criteria, and we'll call them one by one until we find someone who is available. And if you miss the call, you'll get an email and you can follow up with them later. As for which one gets first, it's
What's the sneaky? What's the sneaky? Give these guys that are listening the little sneaky tips. Back door. How do we get to the top?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's if you're a subscribed lawyer, which is now kind of acquired, you'll be the first picked. It's sort of random after that. I mean, if given all the criteria we have on the user's need, there's multiple lawyers who meet the criteria equally. It'll be sort of randomly determined who gets called first out of fairness.
Okay. All right.
So
that's
maybe that's a disappointment, but
no. It's no, because you can build. I mean, you can build that value into your system later. For people to in some way get to the top, whether it's being at a different level of the subscription or reviews or whatever. I mean,
we do take reviews. I mean, I think we could and will do that. Haven't fully built that in.
Well, right. Yeah. No, you're right. Hey, you know what? I think everybody on this that's listening knows that when you can't put everything in at once, right?
Yeah.
It's like you got to build it out as you go. Same with the law firm. You don't start with the full staff or anything. You don't even start with
Right.
a full website most of the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of website, is that we also give the lawyers a profile for them to use for their marketing purposes or whatever, and that helps them get found online too,
Right.
so they can feature their flashy services and background and so on.
yeah,
So
and your site
you
looks
have to have
great.
a website.
Yeah, I'm looking at your site too right now. It looks great. Obviously there's a attorneys apply button right at the top, so it's easy to do.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me. All right, so we talked, and it looks great. Tell me about something. What so far has been sort of the biggest hiccup that you've had? From a business perspective, what's something that you were like, dang man, that was stupid, and how did you overcome that challenge?
Yeah, well, I guess there's been probably a lot of those. I'd say, one fairly big one somewhat recently is that, I had a team of 5 in New York and maybe a team of another 5 or so elsewhere. And, we had raised some money a while back and we're sort of running a little low on cash. And so went to some investors to pitch, and basically they said, well, you need to be a little bit further along and then we'll, make the investment later. And so that didn't come through fast enough. So I had to basically replace my whole team in New York with people overseas.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, because it seemed like, well, the business might just die at this point. But I was, not going to let that happen. So, made some tough calls, and I think it, now we're not losing money. We're doing okay financially, and I think, but it's just sort of like what you might call a near-death experience.
Sure.
For us, because typically when a company runs out of money, it's over.
Right.
But it sort of narrowly avoided that.
What's the biggest lesson that you took out of that?
I think in running a business, you should be careful with costs in general, and I think hiring in particular. I don't know. I guess we're not really allowed to raise money as a law firm.
Well, you could,
think,
but it's just loans, right? You can't invest in a law
Right.
firm unless you're a lawyer.
Right. And I think one kind of specific thing that I'm for whatever reason, somewhat vocal about is outsourcing, both to other companies or to people who are not in America, because I think there's some great people you can find not in America who are considerably more cost effective than having
Sure.
someone sit in the desk in your office. And I don't know if anyone wants to talk about that. I'm always happy to talk about it. But
Let's talk about it right
I
now.
think
Let's talk about it right now. So what are some strategies or some key things that you look for to find help that's overseas? And because I'll tell you, I have a virtual assistant that works for me that's in the Philippines and does all my internet stuff basically, and she's awesome. So just tell us about that. Tell us about your
Sure.
strategy for finding people and some things to look out for. Any tips that you can give us at all?
Okay. Let's see. So there's a bunch of different types of people. I mean, I've got some engineers, web and mobile engineers in Europe. I at the risk of offending nations, my preference for engineers is Eastern Europe. For support people is Philippines, and marketing people, I think India. I don't know, but I just I've got good experiences in those departments. So sorry, rest of the world.
When you say here, I'm gonna just pepper you with a bunch of questions. When you say marketing
Sure.
people, what do your marketing people do for you?
Yeah, sure. Managing campaigns. I mean,
Okay.
I'd say if you know, I think in general with outsourcing, if you know what needs to be done, the more you can define it, and you just need someone to like do it, the cheaper it's going to be and the easier it is to do. When there's like a lot of judgment required and like you don't really know what you're doing and you need to have someone else like trust them, then it's going to get a little more expensive and you need to know how to manage people, I guess.
Right.
But anyways, for marketing, it's like setting up ad campaigns. Like if I can sort of like give sort of the structure, like, okay, here's the type of keywords we need to put in a campaign. Here's like the structure of the ad copy. You might need to edit it if it like doesn't fit or whatever. And then we need to do that for like 100 cities. And in each city we need like 15 practice areas.
Right.
That could take me like 6 months to do by myself. But you can throw people at it and get it done fairly quickly.
All right. Okay. So you need someone like this, or that someone like this could be a huge benefit. What's the first thing that you do to go try to find them? Do you go to Odesk or Elance, or do you have your own network of people, or?
Yeah, I would say it's mostly Odesk, and I now work with quite a few people, so sometimes I'll get referrals to people who someone's worked with before, and that's effective. But I mean, I'm a happy Odesk customer, so I think it's a bit of a numbers game. Like you'll put up a job post or something and get maybe like 70 applications, and most people, hello sir, greetings of the day. I am so and so from so and so, and like says something completely irrelevant to your job post. It's like, okay, you just ignore.
Right.
And I think the ones that you can sort of tell from what they write if they're like smart and what you need, and like has reasonable English and so on.
And if you go for the cheapest, that's what you're going to get, right? Just like anything else. Not good. What I mean is the cheapest is not great, all the time.
That's true, yeah. But neither is the most expensive. Like, price isn't like an indicator of how good the person is. Just let's like figure out how good they are.
Right.
And sometimes they're cheap, and sometimes they're not, and you have to figure out what you can afford. But yeah, sort of usually I'll just say like, hey, let's talk on Skype or something. So I'll chat with them on Skype and either do a call or just chat with them and see what they, see what their background is. Tell them, for support type roles, I think we sort of do like mock calls where I'll like pretend to be a client who's using Lingo and say like, how would you respond to this? And some people are really good at like, figuring out what to ask, and some people are sort of get stuck and don't really know, and that sort of gives you a pretty good indication of how they'll be on the job. And then you can just try people out. I mean, it's not like you have to do these fancy formal employment contracts and NDAs and stuff. Just, I don't know, just give them a try. Worst case, you're out $50 or something. Right.
It's worth it. You got to test, right?
Try again.
You got to test it out to see if it works. That's one of the things that, we're lawyers, right? So we're scared of everything, right? We worst case scenario everything that we possibly can. You probably know that, right? I'm sure you talk to tons of lawyers, and all they care about is what if it doesn't work. Okay. Right. Totally.
Yeah.
And I wrote down something that you mentioned right towards the beginning about starting and how it was a scary process and all that kind of stuff. What I guess tell me a little bit more, if you can, just sort of describe I know what it's like. So I would kind of call it anxiety, because you're not sure if it's going to work or not work. And what did you do to sort of cope with that? How did you, because at some point you just got to say, forget it, I'm going for this, and whatever. But how did you get to that point, and sort of walk me through that process for you?
Yeah. It was scary. And it continues. I think I'm not more used to it, but it's still scary. Let's see. I mentioned I had this idea. I like took some like fake sick days from work and called up a bunch of lawyers and said, hey, like I'm this kid and I got this idea. You want to talk to me about it? And they're like, okay, sure. So I talked to the lawyers and said, I'd use something like that, and talked to people, and they're like, yeah, it seems like something that you might use. And I don't know. You shouldn't always trust people's feedback because people are generally trying to be nice.
Right. You want to say okay, great. Pull your checkbook
Yeah.
out. Write me a check.
Yeah. What's your? Yeah. Right. And so, it's like, and then, in those like days that I took off from work and weekends and stuff, and I was like just trying to do stuff. It's like I'd be like, gee, like I did a lot today. So it's like all you're doing is working on your own thing, and it's like, and I had like 3 months of rent or so saved up, and yeah, I mean, I guess I just thought like, I don't know, what else am I going to do this? Like, I know I want to do this. I think I can do this. Like, I've got a superiority complex or something. Like I don't know. It's just kind of like I had like all these like people like at work. Like I could do it better than them. Turns out like no, it's really hard. And I'm like super impressed by anyone who like gets those off the ground, even if they like whatever. So it's like now I'm less whatever. But what was the questions? Yeah.
Well, just push through, right? Did you just put your head down and decided to go forward?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, so I just quit and I figured, worst case, I'll be in debt. Right.
It's okay. A lot of people are in debt.
Right. That's what I talk to a lot of people that are just totally freaked out about starting their own thing. And, I talked about worst case scenarioing it, but for lawyers, we go beyond that, because even for you, if you let's say this is would have been an utter failure, all you do is you just start over and go do something else. It's not like you walk around with a sign on your back forever that says failure, or you just go do something else, right?
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, I think that's another thing. It's like, what is the worst case? And it's not that bad. It's pretty good, in fact.
And the best case is awesome, right? I mean, what if it all works out? Then it's amazing.
Right. And, you can do your own probability calculation and expected values and the like. But, I think it's just sort of like, do you think you can do it? And, but yeah, I mean, in the first month or so, it's like things just like go wrong constantly.
Right.
And, like wake up every night, like anxiously checking, like talking to the programmer who's working and seeing like, what have you done? Why isn't that done? And like, it's just like, you just felt like fear.
Right. Did you have like a mentor, or did you have any support system around you when you started? And if you did, how did you find those people? Where they come from?
I mean, I had like friends, I guess, and I knew some people from from my jobs and stuff who were very knowledgeable about this type of space, and so I'd have calls with them and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, it wasn't like a formal network of people that were advising me or something. It's just sort of trying to figure out how to do stuff that needed to be done.
Right. I'm curious about what is your best case scenario here? Like if everything would work out the way that you would want, where do you see this kind of going? Do you see it getting really big and sort of doing something else? If you can tell us, I don't want you to divulge any trade secrets or anything, but
well, no. I mean, it just I guess in general terms, I think there's a chance that the company sort of becomes the default connection mechanism between I guess you might say normal people and normal lawyers, like people who need a lawyer and lawyers who need business.
Right.
I think there are there's companies out there in other spaces that are doing that in their respective verticals. The ZocDocs and Airbnbs and Ubers and whatever. I think legal is a very different market than those. And so, I think we just make improvements to the process every day. And I think if we do that for long enough, the law of exponential numbers will continue to kick in and so on. I think, just to divulge some trade secrets or whatever, I start with the idea of like, other verticals maybe at some point where, we handle all professional services, lawyers and accountants and whatever, psychiatrists and stuff, because I think a lot of the connecting mechanism and technology and operations are similar. And then I think there's also various ways to package legal services to consumers where the price is more predictable. Legal services are, you sort of try to structure it more as a commodity or something where like there's less negotiating and transactions, whatever, sort of transaction costs. It's just sort of you need something done, you get it done. And we're not fully there yet, but I think there's a lot of opportunity to just make the whole process more user-friendly.
I have an idea for that too, but you know what? You are probably the one person that I am not going to tell about it because you would execute the idea if you thought it was good. Right? For most people, I will talk to anybody about how I started my law firm, how I get clients. I will tell them everything I do because most people will listen and they will go, "Holy crap, that is a lot of work, and I don't really want to do that." But you are not one of those guys. You will go and execute it. So I'm not going to tell you my idea. It's obviously not, it has nothing, it's not on the scope of what you do at all. But
I hope you execute it.
I think there is, I think your idea is a good one. And I think there is, I think legal services, I don't know anything else, but I think legal services in particular have been sort of stuck in even like the 50s. From a way that the service is provided, and that there really is an opportunity there to create an entirely new platform in a way that the service is provided. If, like you said, you can get that to that number of people adopting it, So I really do like what you're doing. I think it's a good idea, and I think that lawyers, not from what your service is doing in particular, but just in general, are fighting tooth and nail to sort of maintain the status quo. But I think those people are going to be left behind, right, at the end of the day. There's a new crop of attorneys coming up that are familiar with technology and familiar with using services like Uber, like Airbnb, that although they don't translate specifically to our market, they sort of create the feeling of safety to engage in something like Lawdingo, right? So that's really cool. All right, let's see. What else? So I have these lightning round questions. These questions that I just like to ask everyone that I'm always curious about.
Okay.
So you wanna dive into those real quick?
Okay, lightning round it is.
Okay, cool. All right. Do you have a morning routine?
No.
Okay.
Yes or no?
Yeah. Well, they can it's the lightning round. It can be as long or as short as the answer needs to be.
Okay. Yeah. It's a different routine every day. Today I went swimming, so that's it. I don't know.
And what do you? I'm already gonna deviate from the lightning round just because I'm curious. Okay. But what are your days like? Are you just sort of doing calls like this and sort of just opportunities arise and you have to take advantage of them, or do you try to work on certain things on certain days, or how does that, from an organizational standpoint? I'm curious because you are in a situation like we all are, where you're constantly probably being pulled in different directions, and you have to figure out how to get the stuff done that really needs to be done.
Yeah, it's kind of a risk to see how much can you get done that's useful in a day,
right? And
gotta compete with yourself sometimes. I don't know, personally, I lack organizational skills, I think, but so I think, it's like, there's different stuff that comes up every day, of course. I think the way I think about it is trying to define and automate all the processes that need to happen in this business to have it run on its own. Yeah. And so there's the sort of support operations, there's the marketing stuff, there's the product development, design, all that stuff. And I manage all the product stuff right now, so that takes some work. I don't think I'm going to delegate that anytime. But I kind of even the human human sides of the business, where there's people talking on the phone and setting up stuff and so on. I sort of see that as like similar to the product itself, because like when you build a feature or something in a product, like that's something you define once, and theoretically it'll like work like that forever.
Right.
It'll break and whatever you fix it. But like I think similarly, like for marketing to people seeking work or something. Like I think if you figure out something that's working, I think there's a way to define that. And if it requires people, then you just set up some kind of training guide or something for those people. And theoretically, that process now is like done by someone else. And I don't need to do that because I can't do everything. And so that's sort of what I'm trying to do, is like figure out what works in every sort of aspect of the company, and then is it possible for me to get someone else to do that and become better than I am at that.
Sure. And I have another random outside of the lightning round question that I'm just curious about. I don't really care exactly what your numbers are, but kind of how long did it take you from when you started to when you started to get some real kind of traction and movement for Law Dingo? Like what was that timeline like?
I mean, certainly over a year.
Okay.
Like, you can define real traction in many ways, but I'd say, first 6 months was just like trying to figure out how do we even get this like basic thing to work.
Right.
Next 6 months was like, okay, we got the thing started working. Like we realized, you realize a lot of stuff as soon as you get people using it. So, I'd say, I don't know, maybe like, a year after I started, I got into Y Combinator, which sort of further accelerated stuff. And I think, we had some traction before then where we had some revenue and some users and some growth. And then, I think during and after Y Combinator is when I think things started to pick up.
Right. Okay, cool. All right.
So it takes some time.
Yeah, well, okay. Right. Totally.
Yeah, sorry. I'll try to make some more lightning.
No. That was my fault. I completely deviated from the lightning rounds.
Okay.
That's what it's my fault. I'm the terrible host, and I hope you'll forgive me. But we're going back into the lightning round. Okay. What is the best advice you've ever received?
What do they say at Y Combinator? Build stuff people want. That's the
that's good
advice.
All right, that's great. What is something that's working for you right now?
Having a support team screen my cases instead of technology.
Okay, nice. You can recommend one book to somebody. What is it? What's a book that everybody needs to read? And I guess I like to sort of don't give me like Harry Potter or something. Give me something that sort of either changed you or sort of gave you clarity on something.
Okay. There's a book by Thomas Schelling, I think it was written in like the 80s or something, called Micromotives and Macro Behavior, and it sort of talks about how like people's individual preferences translate into like large scale trends that you see.
Okay, cool. All right, let me write that on. Okay, what's the one habit that you have that's helped you achieve success?
I think I don't know, maybe like exercise or something. Or
okay, yeah, no, exercise.
That's not a good one.
No, that's great. That is a good one.
It sort of stirs up the mental chemicals, whatever, especially you have some ideas.
Right, stress relief as well, for sure.
Sure.
Okay, well, we'll accept that answer, I guess. I've consulted the crew, and we accept that answer. All right, and what's the one question that I didn't ask you that I should have asked you?
What's your latest hobby?
Okay, what's your latest hobby?
Stand-up comedy.
What is it?
Stand-up comedy. I'm going to some open mics and trying it out.
Are you really? Okay. Give us your best joke. Yeah. Give us your best joke.
That's a joke. Okay. So those customer support lines that start off with "Please listen carefully, as our options have changed." Man, what the fuck do you think I do with my time? Sit around, sorry about that, memorizing the secret digits I got to press to get to your guarding department's delivery services hours of operations on Wednesday in English? Well, utter conceit to think that my life revolves around yours and that you have any right to start your unhelpful script with a non sequitur about the evolution of choice. It's like if your girlfriend were to start some argument with, please listen carefully, as the source of my anger has changed. It's like, girl, I don't remember which of your buttons I pressed last time. Just tell me what I got to do this time to keep your monologue as short as possible.
Nice. I like it. That's good.
I'm working on it.
No, that's great. I like it. That's good. That's good. Hey, I like it.
It's
so
5 minutes of material right now.
Tell me. Yeah. All right, so I want to talk about this real quick. We're getting close. We're getting close to time, and I don't want to keep you forever.
Okay.
But tell me what made you decide to get into comedy? You know, even as a hobby. What made you decide to do that?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm like a little bit like awkward and nervous in like public speaking settings, and I guess in general. But and so I figured that would be a good like thing to do to like be less like apprehensive about speaking in public. And I don't know. I like comedy and jokes and stuff, so I figured I should just try it out.
Have you done any actual, like open mic nights yet?
Yeah, I think I've done like 7 now.
Okay. What was the experience like? Do you feel like you're getting better? Have you been? I guess here's the other question too. Have you been sort of like studying comedy at all, or you just going out there and winging it?
Yeah, I haven't there's a lot of classes. I haven't taken any classes. I'm just kind of winging it. Yeah, I mean, I watch comedy and stuff to see like how it's done. But yeah, I mean, how's it going? It's like, first time was like rough. It was fine. I got some laughs, but I was like nervous. And then I think one thing I'm learning is like you have to sort of find the balance of like being like overly rehearsed, where it like is obvious that it's memorized, like
right.
that joke I just told you, which is like the one joke memorized, and then and, like not going like completely unprepared, where you're just like, I don't know, I forgot what I was supposed to say or something. So I think like the ideal is like you got some ideas, and the words come out how they come out, but like, and I think maybe that applies to other things where it's like you shouldn't be like overly prepared or overly unprepared, and just sort of do what feels appropriate or something.
Right, definitely. Okay, all right. So let's give one parting piece of advice or anything that you'd like to say. Obviously, tell us how we can apply to get onto Law Dingo. Anything else that you want us to know that has to do with that, or anything else that you're doing. And then if you want to give a way that people can find you or connect with you, I know I found you on Twitter, for example. Give us that information. I'll put all this stuff in the show notes, but just in case people, want to hear it from you.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, of course, we'd love to have everyone try out Law Dingo, and you can join at lawdingo.com/apply, and we'll be happy to talk to you. What else can I tell you? I think, for the lawyers, just keep being creative with your business, and try out stuff like what we're doing and what other people are doing, and see what works. I'm always happy to talk to anyone. My email is Nikhil, Nikhil, at lawdingo.com. And you can find Law Dingo at the Law Dingo on Twitter. And I don't know what else to tell you. I think I guess that's it. You can ask any more questions, but
well, like I said, I know that you probably have things to do, so I don't want to take up. I think I really appreciate your honesty with everything that I've asked, and your challenges and things like that, and I appreciate your time, and I think that your story is one that applies very well to people that are starting a law firm as well as any other business, and your service I think is one that everybody should consider signing up for, because there's no I guess risk of loss, or anything like that. And, being still relatively young, I think there's the opportunity to get some exposure. from a lawyer's perspective before everybody sort of jumps on and jumps in, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, you said better than I could. So.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I really appreciate your time, and again, everything that you said, and I wish you and your company the best of luck. I'm going to go and sign up right now, so maybe you can put some secret code in there and bump me up to the top of the list for everybody that's looking for me.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it, and that's all I've got for today, so thank you very much.
Okay, thanks so much, Chris, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Art of Lawyering podcast. For more great action-packed advice and information, visit theartoflawyering.com.